Hey, what's up my beautiful people, Diavolo here. So this video is the first part in a 3-part series. In this series we're going to be going over every single character's names in One Piece that relate to a real historical figure, mythological deity, and famous pieces of literature. As someone who is a huge geek when it comes to history and relatively world building in anime, it amazes me that Oda has created a world with over 1,000 characters that have their own individual identity. Throughout the years of his ever-enveloping story, people have noticed some correlations between different characters and their real-life historical figures, like Denjiro, who is extremely similar to the famous Japanese thief Nezumi Kozo. This video and the research for it has taken me a very long time, as you could imagine, with having to look into the trivia for every single canon character in One Piece. So if you do enjoy the video and my content, I'd really appreciate if you could smash that like button and subscribe if you are new around here, as it really helps out with the algorithm. Also, be sure to comment what you thought the weirdest character relation was, and believe me, Oda has chosen some extremely colourful characters from history. Anyway, enough of that, let's get into the meat of the video. So starting off, we have Abdullah. Abdullah's name and appearance is based on a real-life professional wrestler, Abdullah the Butcher. Alicia, a gladiatrix, was the female counterpart to the male gladiator. There is a record of a gladiatrix named Achila. Babe. Babe is most likely named after the famous baseball player Babe Ruth, who has been named the greatest baseball player of all time. Bartholomew Kumar. His surname most likely comes from the historical pirate Bartholomew Black Bart Roberts. Kumar was revealed to have been effectively dead during the Summit War of Marineford, which concluded the Golden Age of pirates and began the New Age. Coincidentally, it was Bartholomew Roberts' death who ended the world's great pirate age. Also, Kumar may be named after Bartholomew the Apostle, one of the 12 apostles of Jesus. This is again another heavy coincidence in both name and the fact that he carried around a Bible with him everywhere he went. Bartolomeo shares his name with Bartolomeu Dias, a Portuguese explorer who was first known as the first European to sail around the most southernmost tip of Africa. Basil Hawkins. His name is derived from a real-life pirate and pirateer. His surname comes from Basil Ringrose, who was an English buccaneer, navigator, and geographer, while his given name comes from John Hawkins, who was a pioneering English naval commander and administrator. He was also a privateer and an early promoter of English involvement in the Atlantic slave trade. Bello Betty. Her name might be a reference to the real-life revolutionary Betty Zane, who is believed to have saved Fort Henry. Her appearance is based on Marianne as depicted in Eugene Delacroix's Liberty Leading the People. They are both women holding a flag that symbolizes a revolution. Bellamy's namesake comes from Samuel Bellamy, who was an English pirate who operated in the early 18th century. He is best known as the wealthiest pirate in recorded history and one of the faces of the golden age of piracy. And Charles Bellamy, an English pirate who raided colonial American shipping in New England and later off the coast of Canada. He is often confused with the more well-known Samuel Black Sam Bellamy, as they operated in the same areas at the same time in the early 1700s. Blenheim is also the name of several ships of the British Royal Navy, which were named after the Battle of Blenheim. Borsellino Kizaru, the model of Kizaru's face and Japanese actor Kune Tanaka, along with that, Kizaru's clothes, real name Borsellino, and birthday are apparently based on a movie character Kune Tanaka played in his youth. The character Borsellino from the old Japanese film Truck Yaru wore a suit and sunglasses similar to Kizaru's design. Kizaru's lazy and easygoing demeanor is something of a reference to the main character's approach to the crime from the 1970s French film Borsellino. Caesar Clown. He also shares his name with real-life pirate Black Caesar, in which the legend says that for nearly a decade he raided shipping from the Florida Keys and later served as one of Captain Blackbeard's, aka Edward Teach's, crewmen aboard the Queen Anne's Revenge. And Henry Caesar, who was a legendary 19th century Haitian revolutionary and pirate. Caesar may be part based off the infamous Joseph Mengele, a member of a team of doctors who conducted deadly and inhumane experiments on prisoners of Auschwitz in Nazi Germany. Mengele created a kindergarten and a play area for his child test subjects and treated them far better than any others in the camp, providing better food and living conditions. He gave the children sweets and referred to them kindly, yet was known for his sadistic tendencies and complete lack of empathy towards all test subjects. Kandra and Andre. A fan asked if Andre and his twin brother Kandra's name were a reference to Yosua Inuo, a musician who debuted under the stage name Andre Kandre and wore an afro at the time. Oda affirms it, as well as saying that he knows nothing of Andre Kandre, only knowing the names from television, and that there wasn't much thought behind it. Capone Biggie. Biggie's name was taken from two criminals. His surname Capone was taken from the 1920s American gangster Alphonse Al Capone, and his name Biggie from the English privateer William Lee Savage. Biggie also shares his birthday with Al Capone. Cavendish. Cavendish shares his name with the navigator Thomas Cavendish, an English explorer and privateer. Cavendish's origin as a noble and his passion for horses may be a reference to William Cavendish, 1st Duke of Newcastle, a renowned horse breeder. Charlotte Linlin. She shares her name with real-life pirates as well. Charlotte Badger, a convict from New South Wales, who became one of the first Pākehā women to have lived in New Zealand, which is where I live, so I thought it was really amazing when I found this out. Her origins and the course of her life are difficult to establish with certainty. And Charlotte de Berry, who was a female pirate captain, though her story is generally considered fictional. Columbus. While Columbus's name is based off the character of Christopher Columbus, Columbus is named directly after the famous explorer. Christopher Columbus was an Italian explorer and navigator who completed 4 voyages across the Atlantic Ocean, opening the way for the widespread European exploration and colonization of the Americas. Cosette in Epony shares her name with the character Cosette from the French novel Les Miserables. Cosette or Chaussette is French for little thing. She shares this connection with a fellow German kingdom servant, Epony. Crocodile. Though no direct inspirations have been confirmed by Eiichiro Oda, Crocodile's appearance and methodology strongly invoke an iconic villain of Western pop culture, Peter Pan's Captain Hook, the archetypal hook-handed pirate who was strongly associated with crocodiles, though in hostility rather than fondness. Damaro Black, the fake Luffy, might have been based on Ferdinand Waldo Damaro, famous for being able to impersonate many workers unsuspiciously, to the point of posing as a surgeon in a navy ship and just by speed reading a textbook performed surgeries with flawless success. Denjiro Ushimiti Kozo is very likely based off Nozumi Kozo, a Japanese thief. After he was executed, he was made into a folk hero who stole from the rich and gave to the poor, like the English legendary bandit Robin Hood. Nozumi Kozo is a nickname meaning rat boy, just like Ushimitsu Kozo means witching hour boy. Devil Dias. His name comes from various Portuguese explorers. Dinis Dias, who was ironically a slave trader, and Bartholomew Dias, the first person to round the Cape of Good Hope. This reference is further supported by the fact that he was introduced into the story at Sabodi Archipelago, which is the place all pirates have to go through to get to the New World and a slave trading haven. Don Quixote Doflamango. His surname is a reference to Don Quixote, the main character of the famous Spanish novel that I have no idea how to say, so I'm putting it on screen, while his given name Flamingo is a bird whose plumage resembles Doflamingo's flamboyant jacket and likely comprises it. Don Quixote de la Mancha was a noble committed to a traditional knight-errant in the post-chivalry era, resulting in arguably a tragic/comedic consequences at the expense of those around him. Around the French Revolution, the text was popularly interpreted as a morality tale of the individuals being correct over society being wrong. Edward Newgate Whitebeard. He is one of the characters whose name comes from the real-life Blackbeard, otherwise known as Edward Teach, the others being Marshall D. Teach and Thatch. He shares his name with the Newgate prison, which was a notorious prison in London active during the golden age of piracy, and where many infamous pirates and other criminals were incarcerated, including William Kidd and members of the King of the Pirates, Henry Every's crew. Eustace Kidd. Kidd's surname and name was taken from 2 real-life pirates. The surname Eustace was taken from the 13th century French pirate and mercenary Eustace the Monk, who was born Eustace Busquet. He was a mercenary and a pirate that operated in medieval ages as an outlaw, and the name Kidd from the 17th century Scottish pirate and privateer William Kidd, who was also nicknamed Captain Kidd. He was a Scottish sailor who was tried and executed for piracy after returning from his voyage into the Indian Ocean. Frankie, or his real name Cutty Flam, is a possible reference to the sailing ships Cutty Sark and Flam. Cutty Sark is one of the last tea clippers to be built and one of the fastest, coming at the end of a long period of design development which halted as sailing ships gave way to steam propulsion. And Fram is a ship that was used in expeditions of the Arctic and Antarctic regions by various Norwegian explorers. Fujin shares his name with the Japanese god of wind, Fujin, and the puffy sash floating around his shoulders resembles the literal bag of wind said god carries around. Fukuro Kujo is the name of one of the 7 lucky gods in Japanese mythology. Aside from his sunglasses, he also bears a similar appearance to the god, especially in his elongated head. Gabiru, his name and appearance might be inspired by Shea Gueva. Kiko Moria, it is also possible that the main character's name is a reference to the novel The Island of Dr. Moreau by H.G. Wells, in which a scientist by the name Dr. Moreau gets stranded on an island and makes experiments, creating monsters by mixing the body parts of animals and men. The similarities between the plot of the novel and the elements of Thriller Bark arc, along with the similar surrounding names of the Masters of the Islands, seem to confirm the idea that Moria's name is at least in part a reference to Moreau. Gerd. Her name is possibly taken from Geror, modernly known as Gerd, a goddess in Norse mythology and the wife of god Freyr. Aside from being a goddess, Gerd was also a Jotun, which are a race of giants, which correlates to Gerd's race in the series. Giola. Her appearance, particularly her hair, glasses, jewellery and makeup, bears a resemblance to Dame Edna Everage, Barry Humphrey's alter ego. Gion. This one is slightly different. She was created and named by a fan who said that she was an admiral, but since all positions of an admiral had been filled, Oda made her a vice admiral instead. Oda also designed her appearance, which, like the admirals, is based on a Japanese actor. In Gion's case, she's based on Michio Koguru, who was a Japanese film actress who appeared in 89 films between 1939 and 1984. The King of the Pirates, Gol D. Roger. Upon his death, the real-life pirate Oliver Levasseur had tossed a cryptogram from the scaffolding into the crowd and told them if they could figure out his message, his treasure, now valued at £160 million in today's money, would be theirs. A treasure that to this day has never been found. This seems to have been part of the inspiration for Roger's legendary death speech, as Roger himself had delivered the message to find his treasure, and notably, the poneglyphs are also a part of a grand cryptogram leading to the end of the Grand Line. Another possible inspiration for Roger could be Henry Every. In 1695, Every led what has been called the most profitable pirate raid of all time, capturing an enormous treasure estimated to be worth around £600,000, around $400 million in today's currency, becoming the richest pirate in the world and earning the epithet King of the Pirates. Despite being the target of a worldwide manhunt and getting the highest bounty in history placed on his head, which was £1,000, which is around $700,000 in today's money, Every vanished with his treasure in the Caribbean, which was then called the New World, similar to the New World in One Piece. He is said to have influenced the next generation of pirates, including Blackbeard, Bartholomew Robert, Calicio Jack, Samuel Bellamy, and Edward Lowe, among others who were children at the time, and those names are also used for several One Piece characters. Great Michael. He may be named after the carrack of the Royal Scottish Navy known as Great Michael. It was a great ship of the Royal Scottish Navy. She was the largest ship built by King James IV of Scotland as part of his policy of building a strong Scottish navy. So for now, that brings me to the end of part 1. For every relation through A to G of characters in One Piece that relate to real historical figures, mythological deities, and pieces of literature, I may have missed out one or two because I didn't think the correlation between the character and the person in history held enough resemblance. But if you know any more that I may have missed out in between A and G, feel free to let me know down in the comment section below, and I'll think about making a part 4 after the first 3 of one set I've missed out from the overall list that you guys have found out for me. Anyway, if you guys are new around here, remember to headbutt the life out of that like button, and if you haven't seen the light of day in a few days like myself, be sure to subscribe, as I think it makes you obligated or something along those lines. But for now, it's been your professional degenerate, Diavolo, and I'll see you guys all in a bit. Bye.